okay? And that would allow you, and it's perfectly reasonable, perfectly legal, perfectly above board, that would allow you to claim relief on the face of it, a car loan. So just because you went down to the credit union and said, look, I need a car loan, they gave you the money and they said on it, this is a car loan, the revenue will look at the true purpose that you used the money for. They're not interested in what label you put on it or the credit union or the bank put on it. So if you know that that money was actually used, or there was a substitution involved, that money was used or could be said to have been used for your repairs, maintenance, improvements of your home, you're entitled to claim the relief on the interest up to the ceilings that are there. The rates of relief have been modified slightly. First-time buyers got an added benefit in that they were able to claim tax relief on the interest at up to 25%, dropping from 25 down to 20 over a 7-year period. And anyone that wasn't a first-time buyer can only claim relief at 15% on their loan now. Okay? So first-time buyers have a special extra few bob. Non-first-time buyers don't get that. It's 15% relief that they're getting on the amount of the interest that they pay. Anyone that might have a rental property, if anyone does have one and they've been claiming interest against as a deduction against their rents, well, there's going to be a restriction made, as in from this year. There's a restriction on the amount of interest that you can claim, and it'll be 75% of what you were able to claim up until this. It only applies to residential property. It doesn't apply to commercial property at all. And anyone that had a holiday home, it doesn't apply at all because you wouldn't have been renting that out necessarily. Okay, so it's only where you have residential property that you're letting out that you'll get that restriction coming into play. All right, tuition fees. My own wife is a nurse. She's been at it a number of years, a bit like myself in the tax. We've been at it for a while. And the tuition fees that she has incurred over the years, because she's taken on a number of courses over the years, no doubt you yourselves and your colleagues have done likewise, those fees, those third level college or equivalent fees can qualify for tax relief. Where you've got a course of 2 years duration or more in Ireland or the EU, anywhere in the EU. Or in the case of a master's, a postgraduate programme where it's 1 year or longer in duration, you can claim tax relief on it, only on the course fee now, mind. Okay, doesn't apply to books or accommodation or Tuesday night out or whatever. Okay, doesn't apply to that. And there's a limit of €5,000 in the amount on which you can claim tax relief in each year for each person. So just say, for argument's sake, you take out, say, an open university course, very popular. And I know a lot of people are looking at that at the moment in terms of retraining and skilling up. So if you take out an open university programme, it could cost you €6,000-7,000. If you pay €5,000 in the current tax year and €2,000 next year, you'll get the full tax relief on the €7,000 fee. If you pay the full €7,000 just in this year, you will only get tax relief on €5,000. Okay? You'll have lost €400 of actual cash in your pocket. So very important, if you are, or any of your colleagues are involved in third level training, that if they're claiming fees and the fees are in total more than €7,000, and by the way, you have to pay the fees yourself. Okay, if you get reimbursed from any other quarter, you can't claim obviously for any amount that you're reimbursed. It has to be on the amount that you claim yourself and pay yourself. Health expenses, again, I'm standing in front of health professionals, so this is kind of an awkward one, but again, 60% of all tax claims are for health expenses. Okay? Most of us seem to ignore them for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why, but qualifying health expenses, which would basically be a trip to the doctor, consultant, certain dental treatments, maintenance or treatment of yourself or a family member in a hospital or nursing home, non-routine dental treatments, as I've mentioned, they all qualify for income tax relief. If you have, for example, somebody who's suffering from, diagnosed with irritable bowel, celiac, any dietary condition, if you have to buy gluten-free bread, you can actually claim the tax relief on the cost of the gluten-free bread. Now, I'm sure you don't want to be mithered with having to keep every single receipt every time you go down to the shop for your gluten-free loaf of whatever it is. You don't have to do that. An awful lot of the shops themselves now will actually provide you with an annual statement through their loyalty card schemes. So they will actually provide you with an easy way of keeping track of that. Now, before you dash home and tell himself or herself tomorrow morning that, listen, we're all going on to gluten-free bread because there's tax relief on it. Your man at the conference yesterday said, okay, I don't want Brian Lenihan finding out where I live. I have enough troubles. It's only where you're a diagnosed celiac, obviously. Okay? So if you like gluten-free bread, fire away, but you won't be getting any tax relief on it. There are certain exclusions, and again, I would prefer, and one of the principles I adopt when I'm dealing with my own and anyone else's tax affairs is, I work on the basis that I should be entitled to claim. I work on a positive assumption that I should be entitled to claim something. There are plenty of exclusions in the tax code, and there are plenty of tax officials whose job it is to tell you that's not claimable. If you are in any doubt about a claim, you should submit it to the tax office and you should ask them, am I entitled to claim this? What's the worst they're going to do? They're not going to slap you in irons and send you to Mountjoy. Honestly, they won't. The worst that'll happen is, if you tell them up front, listen, I think I have a claim for, the worst they're going to say to you is, listen, I'm sorry, no. It's Michel Lamas. That's it. That's the worst that'll happen. Don't make the assumption that you're not entitled. An awful lot of us do, and that's why we're overpaying to such an extent. You have to keep your receipts for a period of 6 years, even though, bear in mind, you now can only go back 4 years. So the clock is ticking now on anyone that's looking to go back maybe and claim their service charges, maybe go back and claim health expenses, maybe go back and claim something else over the last number of years. You have a 4-year window within which to claim it, so please be careful about that and don't let that pass. In the emergency budget that was published there a couple of weeks back, the Minister increased the deposit interest retention tax rate. So just be aware of that. If you have a few bob on deposit, okay, the tax at source is going to go up by 2% to 25%, and that's mirrored in relation to certain investment and life policies. There's a DIRT, if you like, it's equivalent to a DIRT tax, and it's gone up to 28%. There's a reason why I'm mentioning that to you, which will become apparent in just a moment, okay? Those increases, by the way, in case you're thinking of shifting your money somewhere else where you don't have to pay DIRT, okay, they applied from midnight on the 7th of April, the night of the budget. Capital gains tax, would that it were that we were all making money maybe out of the purchase and sale of different things. We're not, but at the moment. But the Minister has decided that he's going to change the rate of tax, capital gains tax and capital acquisitions tax, gift and inheritance taxes. They've both gone up to 25%, okay? And the thresholds, so if any of us gets an inheritance from a parent, for example, we're now going to pay tax if we inherit more than a total value of €434,000, and we'll be paying our tax at 25%, all right? Now, this is really to the nub of it, because this is really, I suppose, where all the discussion has been. I know you've had a discussion already at conference in relation to the pensions levy. I'm not going to be going through that, obviously, but I do want to have a look at the whole area of PRSI. PRSI is a kind of a combination of different things. It's the social insurance contribution, the health levy, the income levy, all right? So what I'm going to do is, for the next 5 or 10 minutes, I'm just going to go through the component parts and the changes that were made on it over the last couple of weeks. Now, could I just remind you for a second, there's been huge amounts of comment and speculation about this, and there's absolutely no doubt that the government and the Department of Finance in particular miscalculated in how they explained all of this over budget day and the days following it. But this is the current position. This is based on clarifications which we've sought from the Department of Finance and from the Revenue Commissions themselves. So just to be aware, this is the current position. This is the position in relation to the whole area of PRSI. The PRSI ceiling, if you remember, that was increased in last October's budget, okay, from 50,700 to 52,000 euros. So basically, we're all paying our social insurance contribution on a higher amount of income. Well, that's increased now from the 1st of May up to 75,036. So in 2009, we will all be paying social insurance, whether it's Class A or whether it's Class D, we'll all be paying social insurance on our salaries up to